Welcome to Agriculture Now. I'm your host, Jerrod Downey. Today we have a one of the things we love the most is repeat guests or featured companies on the show. And part of the reason we love it is because we get to look at the company from all the different angles, and it just educates you as the audience more and more. And this, we're doing a very different angle from other features we've had. And the company is WAJAX. We've had them on other shows that we produce. This is their first one on Agriculture Now. And we've got two guests, John Kupka. John, is it Kupka or Kupka? Kupka.
Kupka is fine.
Kupka,
yes.
Okay. He is the VP of Industrial Parts. And Robert Holtforster. I got it right before we started recording. Robert Holtforster. He is the manager of vendor development at WAJAX. John, Robert, apologies for butchering both your names, but welcome to Agriculture Now. Great to have you on.
Thank you for the invitation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got quite a bit to cover today, so I want to jump into it pretty quick. Let's start with both your roles, though. John, let's start with you. What's your role with WAJAX?
Certainly. I work with the product category team. It's really a business development team supporting our inside and outside sales team members, our key account customers, and as well working with our strategic partners across the various segments that we serve in the Canadian marketplace. So that would be from bulk material handling to pumps, to filtration, to instrumentation, to bearings, power transmission, and safety solutions for our targeted customers. I maintain the bearings and power transmission product portfolio. Robert is one of my colleagues, and he's responsible for the bulk material handling category. And each of us in our respective categories brings extensive experience, whether it be product knowledge, industry, or application knowledge. For example, Robert is a professional engineer on the mechanical side of the business, and this is what we bring to our customers, and whether it be internal customers or our external customers.
Robert, what's your day-to-day with WAJAX?
Right. So mine is specifically in the bulk material handling area. So that's a day-to-day between vendors, customers, either finding new products, developing solutions to applications with our customers.
What's in the notes? We get notes before these shows start, just things that you want to cover and that we find that will be interesting to our audience. And there's sort of this farm to store process that encompasses what WAJAX does. WAJAX is they do so much, so you need multiple episodes to cover it. But maybe Robert, we'll start with you. Is sort of that farm to store process that we're talking about when we talk about WAJAX specifically?
Well, we have products that range everything from that farm to the store. Everything from, as in my area, the screw conveyors, John's area with bearings, power transmission, and everything along the way through the food processing plants, which is a major part of our business with pumps, wash down systems, and right through to packaging.
I just want to quickly ask a question, and maybe John, you can take this. Is that this may be a question that's completely wrong. It's even for me, WAJAX is like every time we have them on, I learn so much about them. And I go, oh, I didn't realize you did that. I didn't realize you did that. Do you run into that being such a big name, such a big brand, but you're in all these like very specific segments with all these experts in those segments? Is there still this element of education that you have to do with people just for them to realize just the plethora of offerings you have?
Absolutely. WAJAX is such a diverse organization with regards to the customers and industry segments that we serve across the Canadian marketplace. Going back to our founding back in 165 years ago, serving the food industry, the farm applications through to the on-the-shelf kind of solutions that we bring, we have to continuously educate and continue the awareness of the various capabilities that we have to serve, whether it be the farm to retail store environment to other significant industries in the Canadian marketplace. It is an ongoing function that we have to complete.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide, and Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia, and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. L&H Industrial can custom engineer and build from the ground up any heavy equipment assembly or machine that you need for your operation. Their worldwide 24/7 field services network is on the job whenever you need heavy equipment troubleshooting, repairs, rebuilds, relocations, or replacements. And thanks to their specialized design and engineering and state-of-the-art manufacturing and repair services, they are a go-to international supplier for improved components and custom assemblies for heavy industrial machinery. Visit lnh.net to learn more. With Fender Dunlop, you know you are getting the best conveyor belting in the market. That's because they ensure the integrity of their conveyor belting by monitoring each step of the manufacturing process in their North American facilities. Focused attention is given to each belting order to guarantee that they produce a belt that will assist the customer in reducing operation costs, maximizing uptime, and improving revenue. Visit FenderDunlopAmericas.com to learn more.
Yeah, 165 years. So you could you could probably do a whole series just talking about that evolution of that. It's just wild.
Absolutely.
John, on the safety side, can you sort of outline WAJAX role within that and what that entails? And just
Absolutely.
before we jump into that, where does that? We do a lot of episodes like on the mining side through mining now, and safety is just this huge. We produce a show that's almost all safety. What is that like in the agriculture sector? Is it the same? What is the approach first within the industry and then from WAJAX?
Certainly within the industry, from the farm to the processing and production side, to the transport, to the retail locations, safety is paramount. And we look at it from a number of different perspectives, but the underlying focus is on the individual. So in the farm environment, it could be hearing protection, it could be eye protection, it could be hand or footwear protection. Again, protecting the individual, working from heights, for example, fall resistant applications, harnesses, to going into production facilities. Depends on, is it a slaughter process? Is it a baking process? Each of these individual different processes within food and beverage have unique safety features. Again, relying on the individual. When we go into the processing side of it as well, it is on the safety of the product being produced. And the industry is very highly regulated. Many people would be familiar with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and their requirements with regards to contamination in that process. And we can spend several sessions on just on the food processing safety aspects. So on the individual, it would be cut resistant gloves, as simple as that, or face protection, or other hand protection or head protection activities. On the product side of it, again, from a cross-contamination, whether it be a biological cross-contamination or a physical dust or other particle, the products that we bring to the market allow for proper cleaning. So in the food industry, processing industry, it's typically high pressure water, high temperature, and using a variety of different chemical solutions to ensure that the food zone where it comes in contact with the food product being processed is cleaned properly. And then the equipment going into that part of the process has specific requirements, from stainless steel applications or from technical such as IP69, which is a regulation with regards to ingress protection, whether it be a gearbox, whether it be a motor, whether it be a bearing, that when the washdown activity takes place, that the water is not getting into the internal operation of this equipment, and we're not getting contamination from the lubricant or other components in that aspect. Continuing on throughout the process, from proper packaging, proper forklift, material handling processes in different aspects. It's a very diverse topic of safety, certainly within any industry, but certainly within from farm to retail location.
For today's sponsors, we have Verge Ag. Verge software Launchpad helps farmers plan, simulate, and improve the movement of equipment in their fields. What does this mean for farmers? By using Launchpad to ensure equipment is at the right place at the right time and moves logically, it is more efficient and effective, reducing time spent in the field, input costs, soil compaction, and operator error. Path plans are exported directly to monitors already installed in the equipment. For more information about Launchpad, visit vergeag.com, or you can also email them info@vergeag.com or give them a call at 1-888-408-3743. ZeroNox is leading the electrification of off-highway commercial and industrial vehicles. They provide a platform for clean energy technology to get to market through powertrain solutions, development partnerships, and electrification kit solutions for conversions. Reduce carbon emissions without diminishing vehicle performance or being restricted by high costs. Partner with ZeroNox, like many of the world's leading OEMs, as they solve challenges across multiple continents with their cleaner and higher performing technology. ZeroNox solutions are designed and engineered in America with offices in Porterville, California. Learn more at zeronox.com. Introducing the SolarSet Fold. The new foldable frame solar system brings power to your residential and commercial property and can be shipped worldwide. Like all SolarSet products, the SolarSet Fold comes turnkey, pre-assembled, and is easily transported and installed. Learn more about SolarSet Fold and their full line of amazing solar systems at solarset.com.
So this is a good spot for me to sort of get that clarity again. That this is scope of WAJAX. Is that where do you come into the process? You're dealing with plants that are already set up, and so you're coming in and enhancing their processes, enhancing their safety? Or is an engineering firm reaching out to WAJAX and saying, "Hey, we need this, this, and this. We know WAJAX supplies all this, so this is the full scope of what we need." I'm just trying to wrap my head because there's so many parts. I'm trying to wrap my head around how it actually all comes together for the client.
Absolutely. So all of the above with regards to new facilities, to existing facilities. Again, with the team members that we have within the WAJAX family, we take pride in the expertise and the solutions that we can bring to the customer. If it's an existing operation where they have unplanned downtime or failure of a variety of different processes, our team members can go on site, identify potential root causes, and recommend solutions across the vendor base that we have available to us. We represent many global leading brands in all of these different product categories. So we have a complete arsenal of options that we can bring to a customer. Going to greenfield operations or new operations, absolutely. We have, on our application engineering side of our capabilities, we are able to work on the design, the fabrication in-house in many cases, as well as installation, commissioning, and maintenance programs for these customers.
So you're delivering all of that on, that's on the ground support then. You're actually providing that as well?
Absolutely.
Wow. I want to sort of, Robert, I want to sort of bring you back in for the other side. On the farming side, again, we're trying to cover all this and sort of piece it together from like a full scope of agriculture. On the farming side, the conveyor applications, that's sort of where you come in. Can you walk us through, what products you're using, some of the systems, just sort of give us that scope?
Correct. So the bulk materials side of it, which is the farming component, we would have things, anything for the conveyance of that product, storage, removal from storage into the truck or into the trailer. So usually in the agriculture area, it's going to be screw conveyors for modest distances up to about 20 feet, 30 feet. Once you get beyond that, a screw conveyor can have, it becomes expensive. Belt conveyor for longer distances into storage. Often the elevated silos that you would see across would be using a bucket elevator then, right? That's a great way to get it into storage. And then out of the storage and back into either rail cars or trailers.
What kind of product would a screw conveyor be used for? Is that like grain or produce?
Yeah. It's going to be grain.
Grain, okay.
There's a variety of whether how much damage you can tolerate.
Right.
So different methods of transportation are going to treat the product differently.
So that's what I was wondering on these products like, fruit, vegetables and that. Is WAJAX getting into that space as well? And I imagine these are very different sort of applications where you need to use different machines.
You're correct. And usually those products, it would require washing. So screening processes to remove the dirt from the product, often to clean prior to drying. So vibratory feeders are used as well. So that allows to spread the product out very consistently to ensure a consistent washing prior to handling it further.
And then, so, okay, just to sort of complete the picture, though, if you're washing it and now you've got to transport it a longer distance, then what would it convert into for that longer transport?
Right. So, that's dependent, of course, on the customer, but that could be back onto another type of conveyor to allow for even better sorting to remove any damaged product prior to it going to either storage or for packaging.
Right. And then to sort of tie this together, and I want to get into the some of the engineering and the pumps, and obviously that's a major part. But just to both of you, the clients that you're both talking about, are these a lot of times the same clients? Like in that process from farm to store, are there 10 different companies along the way? Again, I'm just trying to get a picture of where WAJAX is plugging in along this supply chain. And maybe Robert, start with you, and then John just sort of jump in and sort of sort that system out.
Right. So often they're occurring in very different locations as well.
Right.
So with our branches across the country, we would be involved very much on the farm and the prairies, fruit growing in southern Ontario, southern Quebec. The processing may occur far from that area. So
Right.
that would be picked up along the way, really, by the next branch, if you will, that's closer to where the next step of the processing is occurring.
Right. And on the safety side, you're, John, just sort of piecing that together from all the different, well, I guess companies, facilities. It's quite a system.
Absolutely. And to add to those comments, we're finding many of our larger customers are more involved in the front end to back end of the process, becoming vertically integrated in that aspect as well. But many of our other customers are one part of that journey of the product from the farm to the retail environment.
So can you just say it again? And Robert kind of nodded when you said that. Can you just expand on it? They're becoming more. Sorry, what is the term you use? Back end.
Vertically integrated or
Yeah.
much more involved from the farm to the processing side of it. We see it in the agricultural side of the market from cattle or porks or chicken processing, where they are involved in the farming aspect of it. The transport as well as the processing, and then the storage, and then the shipping through after the production and process aspect there. And these are the more larger global brands that we work with here in the Canadian marketplace. And then you have some smaller operations where they're sourcing their raw material, whether it be fruit, soft vegetables, grains, and then bringing that into their facility. And then it goes on to another part of the food chain, if we could call it that, which would be a different company.
So that, Robert, maybe you just jump in here for a sec, because
Yeah. So if you think potatoes, right, I think that's probably a great example of fully integrated from the farm right into the bag of chips or French fries. Big consolidated players in that. Very different handling when you're going from the raw potatoes, as we mentioned then about screening and washing, to how you handle potato chips in the end, which on my side would be a vibratory feeder in the packaging systems on a pneumatic packaging system and weighing system. So really, that's from end to end. If you take going from the potato from out of the ground to into your chip bag.
Right. So from both your sides, then you're seeing more of that then, though, that full scale, because there used to be suppliers and then like all these different, but you're basically saying that's what is it one company or is it one basically the end company, the major company at the end, overseeing it to make sure that system is in place. I just want to clarify.
If I could add to that, it's the larger companies, which are the processing side of it, with regards to going upstream, back to the farms, going to the agricultural fields, where they are beginning to take ownership of that part of the process as well.
Right.
We see it in the poultry market, et cetera. So it's extensive across the scope of the food industry.
Right. I mean, a lot of them are buying ranches. Like these major,
Absolutely.
yeah. So they're the full. So they're not just overseeing it; they actually own the full supply chain.
Yes, and operate.
Yeah, I could see that being a profitable way to approach it.
Absolutely.
And then, Robert, over to you for the pumping. So I don't know much about pumping processes other than as a kid I got to like repair a few pumps and that. So I always have a little bit of extra interest, as well as conveyors actually. But the pumping processes in these facilities must be as intricate as it is unique to each facility. Can you sort of walk us through that as well?
Yeah, sure. There's lots of applications and therefore different pumping requirements. John touched upon the high pressure, low volume washing, which is usually in a clean down process. Quite the opposite in much of the, in a simple washing process, like I was mentioning on potatoes, where it'd be higher volume pumping, low pressure. So also a lot of recycled water. So it can be dirty water, although I've been clean enough for rinsing or preliminary rinse, but then you get into the filtration side of that as well. So yeah, a pump is not every pump is a pump.
No.
You start from a very basic one that might be providing 20, 30 gallons per minute, but you could add a few PSI, but you could be dealing with thousands of gallons per minute, and even high pressure as well. So something from a little, half a horsepower up to 1,000 horsepower.
And again though, this is along this whole supply chain that WAJAX is getting involved, right? That's a whole like water management is a whole other. Would you consider it water management, or are you putting the units into a water management system, or are you actually crafting the system itself?
A little of both. Mostly, a large plant will rely on consulting engineers for their overall, because they have a whole waste management side and water
Right.
management side prior to any discharge into the municipal sewer. There's a requirement there. So much of it will be recycled, and we're more likely to be involved in the side of selecting the pumps as opposed to just creating the entire system.
Right. Have companies, I'll throw this out to both of you. How much, let's go safety. Let's go safety and water management. We'll let you both have your own perspective on it. So John, on the safety side, how much have companies improved? I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. That's not my intention. But like 20, 30 years ago, a safety system compared to that, is it a world of difference? Is it a few bells and whistles? From your perspective, how different is it? And then we'll do the same thing on water management.
Absolutely. And again, not pointing fingers within any industry per se, but I think society as a whole has moved towards safety of the labor force and the workers. No one anticipates going to work to be injured or having any serious impact on the job. A lot of companies, such as WAJAX, we report our safety records as well. We're proud of our safety record, and it's a continuous improvement. And so today we see from the executive level down to the floor, supervision, maintenance, reliability, engineering, safety is a paramount factor with regards to the operations of their business. From a water management or sustainability point of view, again, the environmental aspect of these various processes, Robert referred to waste going into municipal water systems. Again, government regulations are driving this to become more prevalent in the marketplace, and requirements in the marketplace to continue doing business here in Canada.
A little bit of, Robert, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the other side is energy. The concern about the amount of energy being used, and pumps have. So you're asking about over the years, or over the 20 years plus. I was in municipal engineering many years ago, 30, I guess. So definitely we see a difference from then to now just on the value of water, if we're going to talk about
Yeah.
pumping, and energy. And that's one of the things of what WAJAX offers when we have several different pump types is trying to match it to application. Such that you are using energy efficiently. And every company now has somebody who's in charge of that or looking at that and trying to improve it. Yeah, we have things that we offer that help a company improve and meet their goals.
Is it? This will be. It's a little bit of a tricky question, but I'll give it a swing. When something new comes out, like a safety regulation or an efficiency regulation, even in like water management, there's a transitional period where it's challenging. It kind of makes the job harder to do. But over time, people get better and better. Companies like WAJAX, they have product lines that make life easier. And I'll let either one of you take this. Do you think? I'll use safety. Safety is an easy example. A whole bunch of safety regulations, let's say on a construction project, and pretty soon it's almost hard to even walk on the site because there's so much
Absolutely.
safety steps. Do you think that has improved, that the efficiency of the production has now caught up to the regulations? I know it's a tricky question, but I think it's an important one for a lot of people that work in the industry.
Yeah, some people may see industry, government regulations as a hindrance to doing business and impacting their efficiencies and processes and fundamentally their profitability. But on the flip side of the coin, again, many of the companies that we work with, the brand recognition and image in the marketplace, I think, is critical.
Right.
When you have food processing facilities, there's a number of potential biological contamination that could happen. And then that product would go into a recall aspect, and that would hurt the brand image of that producer.
Yep.
If it's publicized that, hey, we have to do a recall on this batch of product going into the marketplace. And that is product recall is a very expensive process from a financial point of view, but a significant impact on the brand image in the marketplace.
That's a very good point, Robert. It's kind of similar question, but on the like efficiency side and energy, water usage, all that. Are these systems in place now that when you're going, let's say greenfield, you're in the planning stages, there's just product lines now that are just ready for the market that hit these standards already?
Yeah, you're quite correct. I mean, we've had enough time to react to that. And I think really to just be implementing it like anything else that you would do, whether it's sufficient lighting in a plant or other safety elements, also looking at that in the efficiency and environmental side.
Yeah, I know it's very interesting seeing. I remember this was, I don't know, I'll say 12 years ago. I was hearing the Internet of Things. And then all of a sudden it's just part of life now. It was this was like on the news, people talking about, debating about it. Now it's just, it's a sensor on your car. I mean, really is what it is. And then, but that leads, what are the big issues? Like in the industry you're serving, in the agriculture sector specifically, what are the critical issues, the main pain points that clients are coming to you with now?
Yes. You made reference to the Internet of Things and digitization within the various industries, and certainly within the agricultural, food, and beverage industry. From maintenance practices, we go back many, many years ago, and even if it was a critical application, such as a conveyor that went down that would stop the production, many companies would have a maintenance philosophy of run to failure. So the motor, the conveyor, the gearbox would fail, it would stop the production process. Today, companies are very much aware of planned and unplanned downtime.
Yeah.
Unplanned downtime is a critical factor with regards to production efficiency and the company profitability. We have solutions. Tech IQ is a sensor on rotating equipment, whether it be a motor or a pump or a gearbox in that aspect, where we will monitor the health of that asset. So a motor would be an asset. And we take various parameter aspects from temperature, vibration, humidity, etc. And I would put it in the context of a stoplight, green, yellow, and red. This is continuous monitoring from the asset to central control with regards to if it's falling within the parameters of temperature, it's a green light. If the temperature begins to rise, it's an early warning. It's like the yellow light on your dashboard of your vehicle indicating it's not critical yet. However, it's something that should be paid attention to. So maintenance and reliability engineering would take a look on their work orders and the process and say, we need to go take a look at this asset, this pump, because it's running at a higher temperature. If it's red, then we have a potential failure or an unplanned downtime. So this is a predictive maintenance aspect of the industry. We have our own solutions for that. From a Tech IQ sensor. We also have monitoring where we take the data and provide feedback to our customers with regards to their processes and the number of assets. And some of these facilities could have thousands of individual assets that we're monitoring.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Robert, do you want to add to that? It's quite the system. I imagine like conveying systems, I know from other industries are done. It's a huge part of preventative maintenance is huge.
Right. So as John mentioned, the instrumentation around it and monitoring to be able to predict problems or foresee problems. We have fewer and fewer people who are really monitoring that. And as you mentioned, the Internet of Things. That everything can be monitored back to a supervisory control data acquisition single point, and really be able to maintain uptime and running time and minimize downtime. So that's a big portion. And the instrumentation, you mentioned that it's in everything now. Well, it is in everything and wireless. That has allowed it to be everywhere. I talked about 20, 30 years ago, everything was on a wired system back. So it cost a lot to install every piece of instrumentation, but now instrumentation really can go anywhere, wirelessly transmit back to a central station.
We mentioned the big companies now. They're basically ownership across the supply chain, which makes a lot of sense for them. What about the smaller operators, the independent, like farmers, poultry farmers that are still, they're supplying product to the market, but independently? Where do they come in? Where do you see their pain points? Where can you work with them as they try to increase efficiency? Arguably it's a bigger cost for them when a conveyor shuts down. How do you deal with those? No, I'm not talking about the smallest farmer, in Canada, but I'm talking about those mid-scale suppliers of the industry.
I can talk to that. When you go to that part of the industry or the process, a simple application, again, from whether it be poultry aspects, a simple fan application of keeping the operation and the facility at proper temperatures. If you have fan failures and different things, it sounds very basic or very rudimentary, but maintaining the operation of the temperature and the cooling of that facility is critical. And again, it could impact the overall success of that poultry farmer with regards to their output in that aspect. Again, unplanned downtime, the impact of a system failure in that regard is critical application. The cost of some of these systems, Robert referred to many decades ago, a wired system, very expensive. In that aspect, as technology has improved, it's gotten smaller versus some of the larger units that were in the marketplace years ago, and the cost has come down significantly as well.
Do you think, Robert, on your side, have you seen like some of these, again, like the mid tier? Are you seeing a lot of opportunities for them to upgrade equipment, pumping systems, conveyor systems into some of this new sensor technology, all the things that can be done now? Are you seeing that happen in that scale?
Yeah, you're correct. Things that were impossible for them previously, or maybe not impossible, but cost prohibitive, are now are trickling down, if you will, into their areas. So it gives them opportunities to really compete and be as efficient, even on a smaller scale.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen that. You see that in production. I mean, before, actually, I was just at an event. I shouldn't be picking on people, but it was a big news organization, and they were still standing there with this giant camera the guy was holding. And I thought, I think you're a couple years behind, because you can now get 4K in a little. I mean, I'm sitting in front of a camera right now. It's about this. It's a bit bigger than a phone, but not much, and it's shooting 4K for us.
Yeah.
And
It-
it's a
yeah.
little company like ours now can get into that market. You're talking a few thousand. You used to, to be able to do live editing, you used to have to invest, I think it was about $150,000 to do that type of system. I mean, now you can do it for 20. It's just, it allows people to actually enter into the market. They still got to invest. You still got to take the time and do it right. But it allows you the opportunity, which for me, kind of coming from the small business world, that's pretty exciting to see, especially on the agriculture side for small operators.
Absolutely. And again, as technology has improved and the cost and the also the technical aspect of running some of these systems, it's
Right.
in many cases it's plug and play.
Yeah.
Whereas before you would need to spend significant technical or engineering resources to implement some of these programs.
Well, the dashboards on these systems now, we used to see them and you're like, okay, yep, call the engineer. There was no chance now you can look at that, and someone even like myself, I look at it, I go, I kind of get it.
Yeah,
I
oh,
kind of
absolutely.
read it.
And you don't need to be, and Robert referred to, data stations or supervisory stations. Technology today would allow, if it goes from a green light to a yellow light or even a red light, you could get that notification on your cell phone 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
So technology has advanced that we don't need to be, behind a monitor or viewing trending analysis, moment by moment. Technology will guide us to when we need to have the human interaction involved in that process.
I want to talk. Well, that's a good segue. Is the people side of WAJAX. Something that's unique about you as well is, and we've had a few companies on over the years that have really set this up nicely. I don't know if anybody does it better than WAJAX. Is local support. You have locations. How many locations are across Canada?
Over 100 locations, coast to
Wow.
coast to coast, all the provinces, and in our most northern facility is in Yellowknife, where we serve the diamond mines up in that part of the country. People, many companies talk about people as their greatest asset, and here in WAJAX, I firmly believe that to be true. One of the things that I'm really proud of at WAJAX is live where the aspect of working where you want to live. You don't need to come to the big city. You don't need to come to a larger facility to relocate your family and different things. People are working across the country. We pride ourselves in being local, very close to our customer base. And that really does attract a number of individuals that recognize the work-life balance in that aspect. We can talk about our diversity and inclusion programs, bringing apprentices into the marketplace, bringing some of the refugees from other parts of the world that are displaced by geopolitical aspects, invite them to join the WAJAX family. So this is one of our strong points. We also, and talked earlier with regards to the technical expertise that Robert and my colleagues have in WAJAX, and that's what we bring to the marketplace. Many people can supply a product. We can supply the support and the technical aspects behind that as well.
Robert, on that technical, that local support side, I mean, that must be a tricky thing, even with 100 locations. There's finding experts in all these fields is, I imagine, just like every other industry right now, it's a challenge. How do you approach that local support, but that expertise that really ends up with only a handful of people that really can master some of these production facilities and that? How do you sort of find that balance with local support, but also having your people that really have that expertise available to support basically across Canada?
Right. So we can't have all of that knowledge in every branch. We do have 100 branches. Some of them are smaller, obviously. Well, that goes without saying. Some are smaller and larger.
Yeah.
But the way we are set up, generally regionally, so within a region, we'll have some added expertise, certainly within that area, so that you don't have to go across the country. Probably our heaviest engineering side would be in Quebec. It supports the business the best in that area. However, it is available to everyone across the country. So whether you have an issue, which is in Winnipeg, it's supported across the country. It's supported by me, and then it's supported furthermore with our engineering, whether that is out of Sudbury or Montreal or any of the other locations where we have that technical expertise available.
And that local presence, so that's that extra element of somebody there local. Maybe they are not the absolute expert in the specific problem, but they can glean the information in a way that you just can't remotely, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. But it does cut down on the sending someone there is prohibitively expensive, often to a single plant. But we have a salesperson or a technical sales representative who can really understand the process or the process problem and relay that to our engineering side. And certainly with again, we talk about technology now with a phone and cameras, you can really give a good description of the application to an engineer who can be remotely located.
I was going to ask, going back to you mentioned, John, people that have been misplaced, and I think you actually have I got on a note like a Ukrainian training program and hired more women into the workforce and that. And it's amazing to do that, but I wanted to ask it from a different perspective as a company. So often we live in little bubbles, and it's not. I think people say it in a very negative way. It's people are working hard. They're trying to pay their bills and feed their family, and they got people have health issues, and it's hard to always be looking outside your little bubble. And
Absolutely.
but when a company like WAJAX runs these type of programs, it allows it into people's lives. They get to see it. And it just expands, just organically expands. I want to ask you about it from the company's perspective, the people working within it, getting to be involved in those programs, and sort of how you've seen that affect them, the people that are actually working already for WAJAX.
Taking a look at different aspects of the organization from our human resource or our people asset point of view, a very inclusive and diverse culture here at WAJAX. And one of the benefits from the company perspective is you have different people with different experiences, different mindsets, different ways of problem solving or looking at particular situations and looking at it from different perspectives as well, whether they've been within the company a number of years or just joined the organization a few months ago. So that is something that truly benefits the continuous improvement philosophy here within the company of how do we get better? How do we take that next step to evolve into a better organization? How do we develop closer relationships internally within the company? But how do we develop those relationships with our customers across the country as well? So that diversity, the inclusiveness of the organization, and certain circumstances with Ukrainian refugees coming into Canada, it's a small part that we could give back to the communities in which we operate.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see some of just from the people that are there getting to be a part of it. But maybe even just, and either one of you can answer this, just sort of how it affects you though, being a part of this. Again, I mean, obviously you're providing the support, but when you give out, you get something back. And so I guess sort of how does it affect either one of you? Bringing different people and trying as a company, because there is so much knowledge. When you widen your scope and bring people in, I guess from either one of your just personal perspectives, how that sort of affects the way that you develop professionally.
As I've spent a number of years in the business marketplace and worked for different companies and different things, having an inclusive and diverse team within the company, it makes you proud of the company that you're part of and that you contribute to. It's not just about making that next sale. It's not about how much dollars can we put in the bank account. It adds a different element, and I must admit, over my business career, it has become a much higher thought process and impact on myself to be working within an organization and being part of an organization that recognizes that need within the company.
Robert, how about from your perspective?
Creating solutions, which is what we really work on, comes from everyone, right? Across a wide variety of backgrounds are required in order to create solutions. So we always have a lot of input. The company's always been highly bilingual anyway, with French and English. So adding even further to it, to me, I find it's very easily done. It's very
Right.
because we're naturally that way. So on the solution side, people who bring varied backgrounds also bring new solutions.
Yeah, I remember what stands out. We did some episodes in South Africa, and we'd done a lot of like Canadian, quite a few Canadian episodes on in a different sector. And went there, and all of a sudden there was it was a whole other knowledge base coming from that side of the world, and it's such an exciting thing because. Again, you can live in a little bubble and you can be learning as much as you can within that sphere, but then somebody can come in from the outside with just a fresh set of eyes. I watched a clip of Elon Musk the other day actually, and he was showing somebody, and it was a YouTube blogger asked him a question, and he stopped. It's a great clip, and he stopped. He went, "Yeah, we could do it that way. We'll fix that."
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
a thought that he hadn't had. And the guy interviewed him again. He said, "Yeah, this was we put it into place." And it was a major. He's like, it's one of our most major shifts that we've done for this product. This is to get a rocket into orbit, by the way. This is not a small. He just hadn't thought of it. Just amazing what you can do just by taking a minute to listen and getting involved with people outside your little sphere.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up the interview with maybe just. So, Robert, you've been with the company for 15 years. What?
Yeah.
And John 7. And I'll leave you both with the same question. What has been over those times? What has been the biggest maybe challenge you've had along that way? And sort of, what's the biggest lesson you've taken from it? This is that question that's for people that have stayed till the end of the interview, and they're getting to see professionals come on the show, and they can learn from them. So I'll let either one of you take it if one of you has an answer ready to go. That question.
Yeah, I can start with that one with regards to my 7 years here within WAJAX. Prior to joining WAJAX, I was on the other side of the table with one of the vendors, and WAJAX was our distribution partner here in Canada. And the impact of working in the distribution side of it and the number of solutions and options that we have to bring to our customers to make them more efficient, to assist them in improving their organizations across the industrial portfolio, and not but least the safety aspect is paramount. So I think what has impacted me significantly is the basket of solutions that we can bring to our customers far greater than I experienced in my previous career.
Right. Just being in an organization that just goes, yeah, we can solve that. Yeah, we can solve that.
We can solve that. Yes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, actually. Robert, what about for you? What's a big challenge and big lesson you've learned over the years?
Well, I think within WAJAX, you can work in a number of different areas, and I have. When I began, it was in engineering, and strictly in engineering. Then I worked with ISO and quality side, and that got me exposed more across the country. And since then, I've been across the country working with different applications, whether it's in the agriculture, food side, mining, every industry that's in Canada. So really, when someone asks me, I say, yeah, the industries of Canada is what I've worked in and seen, and really you bring back from those new solutions and kind of cross-pollinate into other areas of either the company or different organizations.
What's out of all the industries? Let's pick on somebody. Out of all the industries, which is the most complex? What's the most challenging? Mining, energy. We do all the shows as well. So whoever you say is going to laugh because they're going to know you're right.
Yeah.
What's the most
I would
challenging
go
one?
with packaging.
Packaging.
Packaging is the most difficult. The speed at which you want to maintain the tolerance can be very tight. So I would say that packaging is actually one of the most difficult industries to work with. Even though mining, you're going to move thousands of tons.
Yeah,
of
I thought it
rock,
was going to be mining, but yeah, you
so
got me on that one.
packaging side to me, just the speed at which it moves creates the most issues.
All the mining people that watch went, oh. They're probably a little bit hurt by it. No, we're the most
Yeah.
complex.
Sorry.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the show. There was, I got sent presentations and that about, the showing outlines of where WAJAX plugs in, and we're going to have shown these throughout the interview. Some of those graphics. It's absolutely amazing. And it's just so much fun. I think we're doing 2 more episodes with WAJAX actually coming up soon. So it was great to do the agriculture specifically. So thank you both for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity to showcase WAJAX. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. We covered a lot of ground. There'll be some links so you can go find out more information, and you can connect with the gentleman we've had on the show today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody that, Rory Bamford teed this up. Janice helped us on the WAJAX side, get everything organized. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, our producers, Gowdy and Mubarak, putting everything together. It takes a lot of work to put these in, and so thank you, everybody, for giving your time to make sure it happens, and we will see you on the next episode of Agriculture Now.